All right, everybody. Welcome this week to Momos with the podcast, or actually Momos with a camera. Still kind of learning the ropes over here. We have some microphones. We got a new person with us today. Definitely won't see him at Stage 773. You might have seen him at Keith's Comics every once in a while, but you definitely will see this man in Taco Bell is life, Taco Bell is love. Or is it the opposite? You tell me, John Craig. How's everything going?
I mean, that Taco Bell group has, we've decided it's now become a dating group. So if you got your cheesy gordita crunch filled by some sour cream, maybe head on over there to Facebook, and we'll see if we can help you out.
Hey, word up. Sign me up. Let's go. Super down.
So, I've known John Craig since about 2007, I want to say.
Yeah, God, we're old.
Well, John Craig will definitely correct me when I'm wrong. Also, you have not been corrected, too. You have been John Craig.
Cheers to that.
Some great new things for us today. We're going to go ahead and break it up into 3 different sections like we always do. Just want to give a little shout out to our sponsor today. Our sponsor is going to be Keith's Comics over on Schaumburg, Illinois. Just anything that you guys need for your comic book needs. Action figures, back issues, Alex Ross signed stuff. Keith definitely, is friends with Alex Ross. Get something signed for you if you purchase it in store. Be more than happy to do it. Or look at some of his pre-signed stuff. Alex is a great artist. Definitely a person that you need to check out. Something everyone should have in their collection. So check out Keith's Comics, keithscomics.com. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description so that way you guys can go ahead and click on it. Again, Keith's Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. If you are out of state, look at his website, give him a call, maybe he can order it for you, figure out some shipping. Keith's the person to hook you up.
He's a good man. When I was actively playing HeroClix, I went there every week.
Yeah, Keith's a good dude. Other than that, how was your week this week, John Craig?
Well, I work in theater, and there's still a plague going around, so not that exciting. The highlight of my week was ordering 2 little cow chairs on Amazon and then assembling them and dropping them off for my nieces. They were quite surprised when they came home and there was a cow chair for each of them in their kitchen. 4-year-old was very excited and didn't know what it was at first, other than just it looks like a cow. And the 1-year-old just climbed on it. So.
Word up.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Martin Luther King's birthday came up. John Craig did tell me a funny story about how smart his niece is. Yeah. Go ahead, John Craig. Tell us about your story with your niece.
Apparently, when she woke up, she went to my sister and her mom, and it was like, "Oh, it's Martin Luther King's birthday today. We should get him a birthday cake. We should make him a birthday cake, Mom." So they made this birthday cake. Decorated it as a 4-year-old is up to do with just a bunch of icing and sprinkles. And then my mom's like, "Well, what should we do with this cake now? Like, it says happy birthday." Like, it's nobody's birthday that we know. And Isa, the child, was like, "Well, I guess I'll have to eat it." So she convinced her mom that they needed to make a Martin Luther King birthday cake. And then the cake was really just for her to eat. Smart girl.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm too lazy to make myself my own cake. But
right?
If you can convince somebody else to make you a cake for somebody else's birthday, I'm all for it. Speaking of birthdays as well, my niece, Joshua's sister, had a birthday yesterday. Had a good time eating boba, eating Culver's.
Yeah.
Had some cake there as well. I actually didn't eat the cake because I got full off the boba and the burgers alone.
Yeah, my sister can't make cake, so it wasn't that good. Don't worry.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good day overall. Good week. Josh, how about you? How was your week so far?
It's chill. Not my best week. School just started, so I'm back on that grind. This semester is ridiculous. I don't know. I just got like 15 assignments off rip. So I haven't played video games since like Tuesday. I just literally just been doing homework. So, yeah. And actually today I went to the VA or whatever and got my medical stuff done. Hopefully I get some compensation for my messed up body. So we'll see. See in a month. Let's see.
Messed up.
Yeah. My body hurts every day. Trust.
21-year-old complaining about how much they're hurting. I am Trust. In my 40s.
I'll say this. If you're 21 and your body already hurts, yeah, probably got some problems. I'm thinking, man, my body didn't start hurting regularly till I was like 31.
Constant pain. It runs deep. Share it with me.
You know what's funny? I did not know that line. Your pain runs deep. Share it with me. I didn't know that was a Star Trek line. Spock's brother is the one who says it.
Sarek, no.
I don't know his name.
I thought that was
Yeah, Sarek's his dad. I was like, whilst I prefer Star Trek over Star Wars, like, I was always a Next Gen guy. So, like, I can't remember Spock's brother's name. I can picture the scene and from the movie and everything, but I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I originally thought it was an original Tupac quote.
Yeah, I thought it was a rap lyric.
Oh, let's just go with that then.
But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like when I was watching all the Star Treks, decided to watch all the Star Treks, and I heard that line, I was like, that's where that's from.
Did he soundbite? Stealing lyrics.
It was a sample.
Copyright reasons.
Yes.
So this week we did have a new episode of Wanda Vision. Some things that definitely want to go ahead and talk about. First section of this video cast is going to be about Wanda Vision.
All right.
Just talking about your thoughts. We're in episode 3 right now. Just want to go ahead and give that spoiler warning. If you've not watched episode 3 or had not watched any of Wanda Vision yet, go ahead and skip to maybe one of our other videos when we talk about the news and some questions. But definitely want to go ahead and talk about WandaVision. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Way better than the DCEU.
Big facts.
But I'm going to say my comments for WandaVision after I let these guys go a little bit. Because maybe I'm more of a harsher person. I don't want to shit on WandaVision.
Did you not like the episode?
The episode was good. All right, so maybe I guess I will go first.
I was like, if you're gonna give it a rating out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
WandaVision as a whole,
we're 3 episodes in.
But as a whole, I would give this like a 2.5.
I don't know, man. I don't think you can say that. We're only 3 episodes in, and they're really trying to establish the fact that this is like 50s, 60s, 70s sitcom, right? And that whatever's happening is happening, right? They're really setting the tone. I think it's pretty good so far. I want to give it a 2. It's too early to give it a 2. But that's crazy.
But are you saying that because it's a Marvel show?
Negative.
Because if this was a brand new show and you're watching it, I don't think you would want more. You're like, you're not giving me enough. One famous quote was like, the very first episode of Lost, they're on a plane. All of a sudden, there's a smoke monster and a polar bear, and hey, we're on this island. Yep. Like, they give that to you all in that first episode. We are 3 episodes in. We got a small glimpse. We still don't even know what's going on. There's so many fan theories out there.
I think that we know too much of the Marvel Universe for them to give us too much off rip, right? Because we know Vision's dead, should be dead. And all that other stuff. Like, I think if they gave too much, everyone would be connecting dots. Like you're saying right now, everyone's connecting dots that aren't even there yet. So like,
but I don't know. But that's the thing. Are they connecting dots?
Well, they're making dots up or pulling things from the comics, which may or may not actually apply to the MCU. So I have to give Disney and Marvel credit for this is the first time that I can recall where we've had a multiple decade, 23 movies have led up to, they're all somewhat interconnected, and now we have a TV show that is a spin-off of a movie and will probably spin into the later movies, connect that way.
Right.
So this is the first time we've actually done this. They sort of did it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but gave up with that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I guess my complaint is if you were coming in first time watching WandaVision, like, hey, this is kind of kooky, like this 50s, 60s TV show, she's magic, he's a robot, like, yeah, you pick that up in those first 2 episodes.
Sure.
But, like, all of a sudden, there's all these visions that's happening, you don't know what's going on, but they're kind of not giving you enough. My thing is, are we accepting it because Disney has not let us down?
Have you heard of a type of story called a mystery?
But I still feel like you get more. I'm not saying like this is gonna continue to be a 2. I know, like, I have my full faith in Disney and Marvel. I should say not let me scratch that. I have my full faith in Feige. Feige will not let me down.
Okay. I guess, in my mind, this is... I have a general idea as to what's going on because I've been following comic books and this type of nerdy stuff for, I don't know, 30 years of my almost 40 years now. So, like, I have an idea as to what they're doing with this. However, I also am aware that the TV/movie version is going to be, hopefully, different than the comic books. I don't want that exact storyline translated 100% into film. Then I would know what's going on. I don't want to know what's happening. I want to be told a story and given a few clues here and there so I can make guesses. But if they like laid it out and go, well, here's point A and there's point Z, and we're going to tell you all the points as we go, and you have to just sit there and passively absorb it. Like, I don't know. I like being given a little bit, and I have to like think for myself. And so far, they've given us clues to stuff, but we don't know what it connects to yet.
So I guess now that I'm 3 episodes in,
Mm-hmm.
it is starting to pick up. Like maybe I gave it unfair 2, maybe a 3.
No. When you say 2 out of 5, is this episode is a 2?
No,
this thing as a whole is
the thing as a whole. Like where we're at right now. The thing I liked about this episode was the ending where you see the girl. What was her name?
Was it Genevieve?
Genevieve, I believe.
Genevieve, something with a J sound.
It's supposed
she
to
had the
be
blue and white stork outfit.
Yes,
yeah.
she's supposed to be Monica Rambeau.
Okay.
From based on the different fan theories I've heard, that's who she's supposed to be, Captain.
Right, Photon, Captain Marvel, etc., etc.
Right. So that's who, like, again, rumors. Again, these are all internet rumors who she's supposed to be. I know you can look up the IMDb page and it does say it, but again, like, to me, like, you shouldn't have to look up an IMDb page to figure out clues in a show. But I'm not that's scratch that. That's still good storytelling. But I'm saying when she was kicked out and then the army came and she's like laying there, had that been in like the first episode, I would have been like, okay, here we are. We're going somewhere. Like, I had to wait 3 episodes in to kind of...
I mean, but they dropped the first 2 episodes first. So, like,
yeah, so it was like...
That's my thing. Like, after that second episode, I had the same thought. I was like, this is kind of slow. Like, I had the same thing. I was like, dang, fucking Marvel's not giving us, like, enough. Like, we have all these crazy movies and all this other stuff. Like, but this is, like, kind of eh. And after that second episode, I knew, like, after this next episode, this third one, it would pick up. For me, like, personally, like... I've read maybe 3 comics my whole life. 4. I just read The Ronin right now. Freaking 2 weeks ago. So for me, as someone who has no clue about anything that's going on, I think it's pretty good. I think it's funny. I think even though like the first 2 episodes were pretty slow, I think they did a really good job, like cinematography wise. I think it's really dope that they started in the 50s, went to the 60s, and now in their 70s.
You and your cinematography, I'm telling you that right now.
Dude, I'm just saying. Well, let me say this, just because
beautifully shot.
It is. It's amazing, amazing. And then in this episode, when she shoots the girl out, and the screen goes from whatever, I don't know, screen dimension.
It changes the aspect ratio.
Yeah, it changes the aspect ratio, and it goes into a modern day aspect ratio. Like, that's crazy. Like, that is super dope. Period. I don't know. It ain't no 3. You tripping? Like, you tripping? You tripping?
So what are your thoughts on the show? Like based on what you know, I think what's funny is we're sitting in the correct order. We got knows very much about Marvel comics, knows a decent amount, can definitely get by, can still have a nerdy conversation with you. Uh-huh. It's definitely not the nerdiest conversation you're gonna have in a day. And somebody who's read like 5 comics, like this reminds me of the time we first watched Arrow for the very first time.
It went from Leon who hated it to Dan who loved it. Oh man. Or was it vice versa? No, Leon loved it because he had no idea what it was about, and Dan hated it because it was nothing like the comics or something like that. Either way, it was that perfect like 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess how spoilery do we want to get with?
I mean, I want to do a review of the whole episode, rumors I've heard, and kind of.
So
I mean, we already spoiled. Like she kicked the girl out.
Fair enough. Okay, so I don't know where the people that you're talking about with these internet rumors are. I'm sure it's all over, but I haven't read any of these articles. I just watched the episodes on their own and form my own opinions. So I didn't get anything that would clue me in to go, oh, that's Monica Rambeau. There could be something that I'm missing that is like a little clue that if I read an article and go, oh, hey, if you have an encyclopedic knowledge of every Marvel character ever, it's this. Or the other neighbor, what's her name?
Agnes Harkness.
Yeah, well, who may or may not be Agnes Harkness, because she's got a pendant. Like, okay, like that could just be a nice little throwaway thing that they put in there, like having the sword logo, which we haven't seen in the MCU at all. We haven't seen the sword logo show up anywhere, but we see it show up on the helicopter that becomes color before everything else. It's on quote unquote Monica Rambeau's pendant, and it showed up a couple other places, like in the background or on things or people who were acting a little bit weird. But we know from the trailers that they're going to get to like a 70s episode and an 80s episode where people are acting out of sorts, that they're stuck as if they're like in a loop doing the same thing over and over again. So what I suspect is that this is not the first time we've gone through this loop. So this might be like the third time Wanda and Vision have been through this loop, because we see she corrects things subconsciously as it goes. She does edits. Like the beekeeper guy came out of the sewer and she like didn't look happy, and then it cut back to like 30 seconds earlier, and then instead of investigating the noise, like the noise didn't happen, and then Vision did something different. It was like a TV show where you edit it.
Same thing with today's episode. There was an edit. There was a cut.
Yeah,
That happened. The pregnancy.
Yeah, he was maybe being too logical about it and thinking about it too hard, and she was like, "I don't like this," and it just rewound and like quote unquote fixed it. But I don't think she's doing it intentionally.
So okay, so with that being said, based on your theories of what's going on, based on what you see, is this something that she's trapped in because she's sad? Is this something that maybe Hydra? Because we definitely getting a lot of Hydra stuff.
Well, so we've had each episode has had one built-in commercial. The first one was for
the toaster for Tony Stark.
Yeah, which had the one piece of color was the light that was blinking like it was counting down, like it was a bomb or something. It was flashing faster and faster, and then the toast popped up. And then the second one was the Baron Strucker watch, and then this time it was the Hydra
soap.
Or whatever, so you can soak and escape to a world of fantasy.
Right.
I think that she is somehow, because those are the two most traumatic things, not counting her brother dying, was in the movies we find out that Stark's munitions blew up, and her and her brother were trapped under the rubble of Sokovia for days with a bomb blinking next to them, maybe going to go off for like 3 days before
she said it was 2 days.
So that's like a super stressful memory. The next one was about running out of time and all this other thing, like the timepiece, Strucker torturing them and exposing them to the gem to give them powers. The third one is like having that mental break, and then like having escape from reality. Well, that could be what's going on now. It could be a reference to the fact that Thanos has like killed Vision, or like she had to kill Vision, and then Thanos rewound it and killed Vision to get the gem and all this other stuff. She's already seen time rewind and get all screwed up, even without her affecting it. So that watching her beloved Vision die in front of her face twice is enough to break you. On top of all that other stuff, I think it is going to be like she suffered a mental break, and she is in this town, and like in the comics, she doesn't want to have kids. Maybe they were magically conceived, etc., etc. Sword is probably called in because it is, who knows, in the comics it's extraterrestrial. It might be extraterrestrial, might be magic based in the MCU, whatever they're supposed to investigate. And then, since we don't necessarily have the budget for a TV show to also get Benedict Cumberbatch, the role of Doctor Strange is going to be filled by the character of Agnes Harkness in this. So she'll be the mystical conduit that, like, hey, we just gave birth to 2 magical kids. Like, I sort of know what's going on. Let's help you with this stuff. She also was married to Mephisto in the comics, I think. And then the babies in the comics were like shards of Mephisto's power. So that's another way, like, you just kind of gloss over it, and then you can have, you probably have a Cumberbatch come in for like a walk-on type thing, like do 3 hours of recording and he's in one episode. Towards the end, where Doctor Strange comes in and is like, oh, mystical mumbo jumbo, let's fix this, and then fixes the whole thing, and that ties into all the next Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
And Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
See, and I've heard different things. Like, I've heard rumors where Wanda is going to be the big bad in Doctor Strange movie in the Multiverse of Madness.
Sure.
I've also heard, this is one thing I didn't pick up on at all, was during in episode 2, the voice that she hears on the radio when she kind of, it's like, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Yep.
Is Jimmy Woo, who is the FBI agent in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Like, why is
Him of all people.
why him of all people?
Well,
I understand, like, he is a bigger actor, but
so the reason it's Jimmy Woo is because Jimmy Woo is a SHIELD operative that shows up in the comic books all the time in the background. Who's there, like he's the guy that, like, will get the report from the FBI, then goes and investigates it, and then brings it to, like, Widow or Fury or Coulson or somebody the next chain up. So he's, like, 2 levels below where Coulson would have been. So, like, he's a guy that you see regularly in the comics, but, like, as a lower level. They made a HeroClick Ellie of his buddy. 22-point clobbering time, something Clayton or...
I didn't play.
Doesn't matter. I have the figure, and I'm like, I should know his name. But these 2 guys always show up, like, they're in the background for a lot of stuff. So that's why they would go, hey, it's Jimmy Woo. So people go, oh, I know that character. It doesn't mean anything. It might, but it's a very easy way to go, hey, it's related to S.H.I.E.L.D. somehow. And then they don't have to do anything with it, because it could just be Jimmy Woo's there.
Yeah, the fact, to me, I was thinking, my theory is maybe I should just enjoy the episodes for what they are instead of trying to find something and trying to figure it out. Maybe that's why I'm not enjoying it as much, because, like, I'm like, what is it? Like, does this mean something? Does this mean something? Like, I've heard, like, different things, like, this is, like, Mephisto's 666 shows up on a toaster. The Mephisto's, like, hair or something, like, his outline shows up in one of the opening scenes and things like that. And my theory is maybe somebody's doing this to her just because, or she had a mental break and Hydra's trying to manipulate that. That's my theory.
Sure.
The reason why I say that is because in the very first episode where the guy's choking and the wife of Hart was like, she was like going back and forth like, ha ha ha, stop it, like, maybe and then the questions she was asking, I was thinking maybe Wanda, the way I picture it in my mind, in the real world, Wanda was choking that guy. And they were like, stop it.
Oh, so you think the entire thing is in her head while she's actively, like, quote unquote, in the real world?
Yeah. But now this reveal that we saw in episode 3 changes things.
Okay.
So, again, maybe it's still in her head and these characters are plugged in to try to get her out of this mental break, and then that was her kicking her out.
Just based on her ill-defined powers, is that she's basically created a bubble around this town. And that's why all those lights are set up, and there's kind of a perimeter set, because they can see, if you have bright light on it, you can see like a shimmer of a dome. But it's not a physical dome, it's an energy, because we see that woman get tossed through it, and there's like a static burst, and that's exactly when that cinematography kicks in that is so perfect, where the aspect ratio stretches and then changes to, like, modern. It's so good.
It is good, man.
It goes from,
that's
like...
not a 3 right there. That's 10 out of 10 directing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. That's good shit.
Yeah. It's subtle stuff. I also think, though, that you're right, that you are probably overanalyzing everything. Like, because I'm just sitting here enjoying it as it comes in. This is going to be a show that you can watch as it airs, and then you go back and rewatch it, and you'll be able to go, oh, there's that thing that was referenced in episode 1 that ties into episode 10.
There goes your replay value.
You'll get at least two or three watches out of this, minimum. And there's going to be all sorts of stuff that you can watch over and over again and still not find everything.
I can see that. I do admit, I tend to overanalyze. I always tend to want to figure things out before they actually happen. Because I want to know who the bad guy is. Maybe that's just my downfall because of like watching these CW shows. Don't get me wrong, they start off great, but it's like that's
terrible.
That's Flash. That's Reverse Flash. That's
okay. So
trying to figure it out. So, like that's this and
so.
Here's your traitor.
Season 1 of the Flash is maybe a good comparison because we knew that there was a Reverse Flash, but we didn't know, was it Reverse Flash or was it Zoom? We didn't know at the time which one it was because we had Harrison Wells who played the role of a guy in a wheelchair. Then we had like Eddie, who like we had all these things that hinted at it could be this version of the Flash, this Flash, or this Flash. Like which of these evil Flashes could have been? There was like 3 versions: Cobalt Blue, Zoom, or Reverse Flash. It turns out that we got Reverse Flash, but they like played us by like hiding things in plain sight. That if you watch it now, having seen it and know how it ends, you go, "Oh, that should have been obvious." Like, how did I miss that thing? Because you know what to look for.
Right. I get it.
You're driving yourself crazy here.
I'm driving myself into the multi-world of madness.
Yes. You'll be as crazy as Wanda.
So some other rumors I heard, basically based on Wanda Vision, is the people in the commercials are actually her parents. I think that's. Okay. That's like I can accept that. And
has it been the same?
It's been the same. It's been the same people.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's been the same. They just have totally different hairstyles and everything because it's different.
Different decade.
Different, yeah. A toaster commercial, a watch commercial, and then
a getaway soap.
Yeah, I was like soap. Like I don't know.
Soap getaway.
Yeah, so it's been the same people every episode. The other rumor I heard that Evan Peters was going to make an appearance as Quicksilver.
Okay.
So trying to tie in that X-Men universe into this will also help with this multiverse theory.
Interesting.
Oh, so just completely getting rid of Kick-Ass, basically?
They're not getting rid of is it Aaron Johnson who played?
I think so. That's
it's Kick-Ass. He played Kick-Ass and
Quicksilver. He was a Kick-Ass Quicksilver.
Yeah, so not getting.
Don't forget Godzilla. All right. Godzilla, Kick-Ass, Quicksilver. Gonna go.
Not getting rid of him, but just basically like opening up. Like here's another world where Quicksilver lives, type of thing. Who knows? Because these are just internet rumors. How people know that. They even say like Marcy from Thor, the Thor movies, Kat Dennings is the one that's watching the TV the whole time. Like, how do you know that? Like, where? Like, nothing that I know. Like,
they just state that as if you have all the facts that, oh, clearly, it's obvious. Like, how did you get to that conclusion? Well, I just know it. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Like, that's one of the things, like...
Dude, trust me.
Like, there's a lot of internet rumor. But then, again, like, there's so many people who watch, like, break down all these trailers and were like, oh, Captain America's the one that's going to die in Endgame. Like, Chris Evans quit. Like, he's going to die. And then now here we are with the rumors of Chris Evans coming back. Shrug.
News to me.
Like,
That's what he said.
News to me. Shrug. I mean...
Jeez.
Wink, wink.
Imagine, right?
Like, come on.
Yeah.
So I definitely, when it comes to like rumors and spoilers, like Foggy and them, they've definitely kept everybody's secret. Same thing with like, if you really think about it, Spider-Man, Far From Home. Everyone in the commercial and the trailers, they were like, "Oh, he's from the multiverse and he's a good Mysterio." Lo and behold, they made that up.
Yeah.
Like, they kept that a secret. And even the Skrull thing, nobody saw coming.
Yeah, nobody saw Skrulls coming. That was for sure. I was very excited to see Skrulls.
Secret Invasion. And who knows, like, even Skrulls in the comics were bad. And here we are.
They're good.
Where they're
or
good.
At least, like, they're refugees as opposed to an invading force.
I mean, so from what we know so far. I mean...
Yeah, and I suspect that we could get a version of the MCU if they do Secret Invasion. It will be referred to on camera as a Secret Invasion by, I don't know, an Alex Jones type of character who's going to blow it like, oh my god, blah, blah, blah. There's a secret invasion of aliens because a couple Skrulls get outed.
That or the mission for them being in there is like mission secret invasion or something like that.
Sure.
Like just like a throwaway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the concept of I don't think we're going to have Skrulls as an active invasion so much as it is they'll get discovered. A couple Skrulls will get discovered, and there will be this panic of who do we trust? Anybody could be a shape-shifting alien, and that's going to be like the plot point of some movie or storyline. And it's not going to be anything where the Skrulls are actively trying to take over. It's going to be they're just embedded because that's what Shield and Fury told them to do, and they can't reveal themselves now because they'll be killed, but they have to like hide. It'll be the whole thing where like people don't reveal like their nationality or their background or their ethnicities or religion or like their gender or whatever in the real world, because if you tell the wrong person, they'll kill you. So it's going to be some sort of allegory for that. Kind of like how the X-Men were originally like minorities or gay folk or whatever, depending on how you want to spin the story. It'll be similar to that, where the Skrulls can't tell. They have to out themselves to the right people, like coming out of the closet, so to speak, to say like, hey, I trust you. Here's the real me. That's what I think Marvel and Disney will do with them now, because they've already set them up. They can't make them villains at this point. You could have some that are villainous, but as a whole, the race is not going to be bad guys.
Yeah, I can see that, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed with any decisions that they made so far. I guess the only decision I've made, kind of stepping away from Wanda Vision a little bit, is the only decision, I don't want to say it's like a bad decision, is I still have my opinion on Civil War. Mm-hmm. Like, my opinion on Civil War, I mean, definitely it's not like the comics. Sure. It was a civil war, but I truly believe in the comics it was Captain America was not straying from his belief. Iron Man was not straying from his belief regarding registration. Like, we should register, we should get trained, and we should get human Iron Man standpoint. And Captain America was just like, no, like, not at all. They weren't straying for their standpoint. In the movies, it was basically the fight for Bucky.
Yes.
It was like, my best friend is on the run, is being wanted for something. I want to clear his name. And then Iron Man was like, no. Had it been Rhodey that was framed,
yes,
Iron Man would have been like, yes, I'm on the run. Like, that's why Civil War to me, like, doesn't really hold any weight. Like, I don't like the way they did that. Maybe they should have called it something else, because it just became the fight for Bucky. Because if the tables were turned, the situation just happened to be on the other person, they would have ran to. It's not like Iron Man would have been like, well, let's just bring him in and we'll question him. Well, he would have fought for
I almost feel like their roles were reversed. So in the comics, you have Iron Man is pro-registration and Cap is anti-registration. So they did that with the movie. But if you look at the way the movie sets it up, Cap should be pro-registration. And Iron Man should be anti-registration, because Iron Man, up until that point, has been like, the government doesn't get my stuff, I control my stuff. The Avengers do what we want, and Cap has been like, oh, we should work with S.H.I.E.L.D., and we should do what the government says, because it's voted in, and we need oversight. For the most part. And yeah, I can understand that characters can change and grow, but it feels like that happened real quick in the movie. It was like Iron Man met one woman who... her son was killed in Sokovia, and he's like, oh man, I better change my whole life. And then Cap, instead of going, no, you're right, we should do this, was like, but Bucky, my Bucky.
It really wasn't about registration either.
No,
it was more about, I need to save Bucky. Like, Cap could have signed the papers, and I mean, granted, he didn't want to sign the papers because of the Peggy Carter funeral. Like, they kind of played that, and when Agent Carter gave her speech. Yeah, it was basically the speech that Cap gave. In the comics,
he gave in a Spider-Man comic.
So, my opinion, just on Civil War, like, maybe it should have been called something else. Maybe, like, I truly feel
domestic disturbance.
Like, Civil War was a cash grab because it was so popular in the comics. Like, I ain't gonna lie, that's what got me started reading comics again, was Civil War. Like when I heard about Civil War, my friend was like, "Man, you hear about Civil War in comics?" I really thought it was like a comic book about Abraham Lincoln.
Well,
and the Civil War, and I was like, I was just like, I don't know, because I had stopped reading comics at that time, and then he had told me about it, and then I was like, what? Like heroes are fighting here? Like I'm in. Like if it was Abraham Lincoln comic, like maybe.
I will say this about the comics is like as good or bad as you think they were, like, and they had their issues. I will give Marvel credit for actually sticking with the idea of registration for like 8 months to a year before they kind of just brushed it under the rug. Like Peter Parker, admitted on international television, like, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man. I'm Peter Parker." Aunt May was shot. Peter had to like go on the run, and there was all sorts of fallout from that, and that didn't resolve itself until they finally, like, as a whole, said, we're just going to kind of go back to the status quo, and it's been 12 months of publishing books. It's time for a new, a summer blockbuster. How do we fix Spider-Man? Just Mephisto can do it with magic. Like, they did that One More Day thing, and then that's how they fixed, quote-unquote, fixed Spider-Man. But, like, everybody else, it was just kind of brushed under the rug, where, okay, registration happened. Theoretically, that's still a thing. It's on the books, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, because after that was World War Hulk and then Secret Invasion. It was World War Hulk was next, because I remember I was still reading at that time. I stopped reading during Secret Invasion, like, and then that's when was it the Dark Avengers, and like, Norman had taken over for Tony because he had
with Hammer, which didn't actually stand for anything.
Yeah,
it always gets me. I gotta check that. I'm gonna check that timeline while you're talking.
Yeah, so that was like from my standpoint from when I was reading comics, but the movie itself, like the movie was good. Like Civil War was definitely a great movie. The Captain America franchise is definitely the best. Joshua still hates.
I rewatched the first one, and it is not as bad as when I first saw it. So I'll give you that. It's a lot better than the first time I saw it. I literally hated it. I thought this movie was stupid. Like, this dude's freaking dancing for freaking the World War II cats or whatever war they're in. I don't even.
Yeah, they were in World War II.
What was this?
When Cap was like the Bonds poster boy.
I rewatched it. It's actually pretty good, but at first I hated it. It's just stupid.
I mean, fair. So yeah, it was 2008, 2009. So
yeah, and after was World War Hulk, which was great. I think all those books were great. Even like Civil War was great until the last comic that finalized it, and then World War Hulk was great until the last comic. Secret Invasion, I just stopped reading because I had moved away, so like it was hard to find a comic book shop that was willing to pick up all the books I was reading, like maybe 30 books a week between Marvel and DC.
Holy shit.
I was reading a lot, but yeah, during the move and stuff like that, just trying to find a comic book store to accommodate all the books I was reading was hard. So that's eventually why I stopped reading. But Civil War is what got me back into comics. But the ending was stupid. Cap just throws down his shield and just gives up. Ending of World War Hulk where he gives up.
Yeah, because they have to. It's both the blessing and the curse of monthly comic books is that you can't have long-term changes. Everything's got to be resolved by the end of the storyline, right? So Cap's got to like give up, and then they'll do a storyline where like he goes on trial, and then they'll do something to fix it. In this case, they killed him and brought him back. Cool. I will say, so what I really appreciate about the actual books for Civil War is that all the covers were color coded. So you had the actual Civil War book with the white bottom, and then there was like the top third was art, and then anything that was a direct tie-in was like you had the art and the title at the top, and then the bottom 2/3 was a color. So you had red for a direct tie-in, blue for like a loose tie-in. So like Spider-Man, Avengers, New Avengers, anything involved those characters, all directly tied into Civil War. X-Men was blue, Fantastic Four was blue because, yeah, it's sort of related, but like they were still doing their own thing. They weren't actively fighting all this stuff all the time. And then you had, I want to say it was green and then brown. Whereas like green was like loosely tied in like She-Hulk. She would show up or have to do a court case that involved it, and that was about it. And then brown was like Young Avengers, where something would happen and it would sort of tie into their story loosely, and then they would go about their day and it wouldn't affect too much. But it was like you could decide which books you were going to buy based just, oh, red, I better get this because it ties in directly.
Yeah,
blue, I can skip it.
That's where marketing got me. I picked up everything that had a Civil War thing in it. I didn't know it was color coded at the time, so I just picked up, Civil War in the title. I better read this because I'm reading Civil War.
Yeah, I got all the red and blue. Skip the green and brown.
I had to add it to my collection. Just reading everything.
The Leon method. Stack them in a pile and eventually read them.
I actually read them every week. The other comic I really like too, just kind of skipping over to Marvel, is DC. Like 52 was actually really, really good concept. One comic book a week, and it was like kind of like these B-list JLA characters were pretty much B-list everybody because it was Elongated Man.
It was DC, so it's either the Justice League or their B-list.
Yeah, so it was. It was.
I mean, yeah.
So speaking of DC, what's your thoughts about Wonder Woman?
The first movie was pretty good.
First movie is amazing. Like I cannot that was like the first good DC movie aside from the Batman trilogy,
which isn't part of that universe. So
the Batman trilogy is not that great. But.
Okay, you can just relax.
Well, the Adam West one was fantastic.
The Elon Musk one?
Adam West.
Oh, I thought Elon Musk. I'm like, who did Elon Musk? Like, what character was Elon Musk in the Nolan trilogy?
He is Batman.
I was like,
no, he's not.
I was like, I gotta rewatch these movies.
He's not Bruce Wayne. Elon Musk is far from Bruce Wayne.
Elon Musk believes that we live in a simulation. He truly
cracked
believes
the
that.
code, because what the hell? That's okay, give me some money, dog. It don't matter, though, right? Hook me up, son. It's part of the simulation. The spoon isn't real? Come on, dog. There is no spoon. Head ass. Alright. Okay. Whatever.
Just kind of inside joke here. So, John Craig, what are your thoughts about Sin City 2? We should finally talk about that.
We should never talk about that movie because we said the one in which we do not talk about Sin City 2.
So
10 years ago?
It was about when Sin City 2 was a trailer, maybe about 10 years ago. Just a little side note, inside joke. We started to do a podcast, me, John Craig, and Leon. It was when Amazing Spider-Man 2, actually, the poster had come out. Our first podcast was about the poster and how they were going to do Rhino. Was it going to be a mech? Was it just going to be a guy in a suit? And we were just basically going to talk about all the comic book movies. And then Sin City 2, we said we were going to talk about, and then we'd never talk about it. So we jokingly named the podcast When and Where We Don't Talk About Sin City 2.
God.
I mean, I like Sin City 2, though. I mean, I like Sin City also.
They're fine. They're fine movies, whatever. Sin
City 2 was 8 years too late.
Yeah. Which one is that one? That's the
one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin plays the Clive Owen character.
Yeah, okay.
It was like a prequel.
Yeah.
I watched them when I was like 12, so I don't remember.
I think I watched them once in theaters. That was about it. They're fine, but I've not felt the need to revisit them.
They're good movies. I enjoy their movies. I mean, for what they are.
I'll add that to my list of things to rewatch when I have a lot of free time. Right now, I'm rewatching Venture Brothers and Stargate SG-1, the series. So
it's on Netflix right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, I never got into Venture Brothers. I've tried.
The first episode, the pilot is kind of rough, and then it gets dramatically better with the first actual episode.
I know one show everybody loves too that I like it now, but I did have to power through it. Was Rick and Morty.
You had to power through that?
You had to power through Rick and Morty? Sit there, grab a beer, and laugh your ass off. What are you talking about?
Well, now keep in mind, Dennis doesn't believe that time is relative. So
yeah, that's right. Okay. Never mind.
Folks, I got to tell you a secret. Dennis does not understand how science or anything other than a comic book T-shirt works. He's like, I can put this T-shirt on, and I know to press go on this recorder, and that's about it. And even that, I had to show him how to do it.
But the thing is, John Gregg said, "You've heard of relativity." Yeah, I've heard of a lot of things. That doesn't make it real.
Nah, man, you don't get to say that about relativity.
What is it called? The theory of relativity?
Yes,
not the fact.
Time dilation is real, though.
Hold on.
That's been proven.
The problem is that you are misusing theory. Theory, in a scientific term, means things that are impossible to prove, like gravity. Is the theory of gravity. Do you believe that gravity exists?
No, I don't.
Well, there you go.
Oh my god.
No, I do.
Yeah, but it's only a theory.
Yeah.
It still works.
Theories don't work in science unless they have facts to base them.
Yeah.
So that's the way theories
What
work
you're
in
thinking
science.
of is like a theory, like in a detective mystery, or like my theory about Wanda Vision. It's not really a theory; it's a hypothesis. I guess this, but everyone says theory.
Words mean things.
Words have meaning, guys.
Well, words are made up, okay?
Also true, but words have a general consensus as to what they mean, and we agree as a society. And if we're going to modify them, we discuss them beforehand as to what that modification may be.
Facts.
When is Nick coming back? That's the thing that happened.
Nick, who I don't like to read. Oh, Nick, I love you. I had a good laugh at the movies and books. Movies are better. I'm like, are they though?
I do believe that whatever you experience first, you like better.
Sure, nostalgia. I get that.
My thing is because when I first started, I watched Walking Dead before I read the comics, and during the comics, I'm like, oh my god, basically I know what's happening. Let's hurry up and get this over with. When are we going to get to this point? And then finally, when the comics surpassed the show I was watching,
You like
the show was like, oh my god, this is so dumb. This is not how they do this. Like,
That's true. I
Which
understand.
which tells me the comic and the TV show at least were equal, but you were bored with the comic because you already knew the story.
and then
And then when you got to the point where they were the same,
I was bored with the show.
You were bored with whichever one you had already viewed or read. You enjoyed more because the other one was just retelling you the same thing.
Right, so it's whichever one I experienced first.
Uh-huh.
So if I read a book first,
Gotcha.
then I'm going to enjoy the book
Gotcha. But
over
okay,
the movie. But
I
if
thought
I
you
watched the movie first,
well, I thought you meant like I watched the show and then read the comic. So even once the comic got ahead, I still enjoyed the show more because I saw it first. You mean like per episode?
well, I mean the show is bad itself.
I've seen
got
part of
Stormtroopers
one
now. I saw that
episode.
today.
Like it's really bad. And the stormtroopers are in the comic. They're not stormtroopers, but
They look like stormtroopers, and the
They
guy
are-
voicing over that commercial sounds exactly like Kylo Ren.
they're guys.
I will put $200 on this.
All right.
It's a Disney rip. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it did come from the comic book, so if it's inspired by stormtroopers,
Who knows?
possibly. But again, I already know what's gonna happen.
I haven't seen The Walking Dead since like maybe season 4.
It's pretty
So-
like the Walking Dead show. Like just because there's so much filler, it's pretty bad now. Like it should have been done. They spent way too much time on that farm. So
What I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care. I saw first part of the first episode and got to a point about where Rick was like under the tank.
that's where the first episode ends.
Okay, and I'm like, I'm just done.
That happened in the comic though.
I know, but
Did
like
you
I was
like?
like,
Did you like the comic?
the comics. So here's my problem with the comics. Were fine. I'm not a big fan of the zombie genre, mostly because for something in my brain, if I watch it happen, like movement on the screen, triggers something in my brain where I end up with like messed up zombie apocalypse nightmares for weeks at a time. Probably because about 10 years ago, I was super stressed out because my mom was dying of cancer and I was like getting no sleep. I was working a job I hated. It was just a bad time in my life overall. So I had massive insomnia to the point where I would sometimes fall asleep and not realize I'd fallen asleep, or be awake but like not quite hallucinate, but like maybe hear or see something out of the corner of my eye or hear something go, oh, that could be a zombie. And it was always like walking to and from the car or like walking to and from a building, like, oh, I better have a bat or a gun ready in case like a zombie comes by and I gotta beat its brains in. Like, that was the thought process in my head while I was awake for 6 months. I had dreams which I knew were fake because I'd wake up and go, oh, I haven't actually been eaten. There was a dream that I had where our friend Kyle forgot to lock the back door, and zombie Mr. Fantastic came in because Kyle did not do like everything I told him to do. I had a dream where I called and left a voicemail for Larry, HeroClix Larry, while I was being eaten by a zombie, where I said, hey, I have to tell you this because you're the only person who's going to appreciate it. I'm being bitten by a zombie wearing a zombie MC Chris hoodie, and I'm wearing a zombie MC Chris hat. So, next time you see me, shoot me in the head because I'll be a zombie. Love you, bye.
Jeez.
Yeah, like some of them were funny, and some of them were downright terrifying. Like I've had to execute my brother and my mom in my dreams because the medicine ran out and they were going to turn. I've had to like talk my sister through doing this because I had a broken arm and couldn't do it, and she would have to do it, otherwise they would turn. Like, I've had all these dreams. So when I tried to play the Walking Dead video game, and I played it for half an hour, and I had 3 days of nightmares, so I'm like, never touching that again. Done. Watched the first episode, and had a week of dreams. I was like, not worth it. Not worth messed up insomnia dreams just for a TV show. That's not that good.
No, I totally get it. One thing Joshua does laugh at me about, like the game Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny, dude.
Okay.
That's not even a nightmare. That's like, why are you scared?
What about it?
I get nightmares from Uncharted.
I don't know.
So
what is
funny.
Uncharted about? Like,
Uncharted is
It's
basically
basically Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Basically Indiana Jones.
it's a guy. It's an archaeologist that,
Sure. Okay.
and like Tomb Raider, like
But
climbs.
he can rock climb.
He can
Okay,
rock climb,
sure.
shoots people. Like, yeah, basically Tomb Raider
okay.
type thing. So, in the game, you fall off cliffs all the time.
And you parachute or whatever.
No, you like fall off cliffs, you die, and then you
okay.
start all over again.
Got it. Like a video game. Sure.
Yeah, so, or you driving in a car, or there's one scene in 2 where he's on a train, and the train, like, crashes, and then he's, like, gotta climb from car to car and then run up as the train's falling down.
Sure.
I have dreams where I'm driving my car, and then, like, the car crashes, and I gotta jump and grab the cliff, and, like, I have series of dreams because of Uncharted, and then, like,
That is awesome.
the scream that he does, like, when you die, like, ah! Like, that's me in my dream, like, ah!
Nolan North?
Like, I
Is that his
just...
name?
Yeah. Oh. Okay. All right. I mean, that's funny, but I also understand why you would not want to play those games.
No, man, that's awesome.
Like,
I love it.
Yeah, it's a very funny story.
The games are great. They're great games.
Sure.
They're, like, amazing. Like, the storytelling.
Well, think about season 1 and 2 of Walking Dead. Well, season 1, at least, everything I heard about it was, yeah, it's pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And they describe it, and like, you just described the first story arc in the comic book, which I've already read. I don't need to watch this.
You don't need to relive that.
Yeah,
I've already experienced my
need-
week of nightmare. I don't need
I don't need to watch it,
another
then
one.
also risk having to live it. Yeah, so I'll double tap you. I've done it before.
Zombie apocalypse breaks out. We call him John Craig.
I mean, I will tell you where to
I've done
go.
it before. I just realized what you meant. Holy shit, man.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty deep.
I've had to kill him twice. Once because he was a zombie, and once because he was a shit that got us almost eaten by zombies. He was a fucking risk. He made
get rid of this liability.
No, he made better. You cut his Achilles tendons and let him crawl away, and then you escape while the zombies eat him. I'll do it again.
I didn't even know I was in these dreams.
No, nah.
All those
This is a
HeroClix
podcast
guys,
first.
all those HeroClix guys from those eras, like Seidler, I've seen eaten alive twice. Larry had said the one where the phone call. The funniest one, the terrifying as a nightmare was having to fight the Marvel zombies, and for whatever reason, like dream logic, we were able to like close off a bunch of stuff, so all we had to do was wait and they would go away, but Kyle fucked up and like didn't do something to the back door that allowed Mr. Fantastic to like liquid goo in and eat us. But like Kyle was like, God damn it, he bit me, and Simon was like, that's you fucking get. I just remember it. I was like, God damn it, Kyle. God damn it. You've doomed us.
That was around the time that Marvel Zombies was really popular too.
Yeah, it's because it was every week. we were like playing HeroClix, and there was Marvel Zombies comics everywhere, just in the background. So for whatever reason, for like 2 weeks, I had Marvel Zombies dreams occasionally. I was like, oh god, this again.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fight I can beat a regular zombie. I don't know how to beat a zombie who moves at super speed or like can teleport or is also not just like walking around shambling, like can think and just wants to eat you, like. And then they have superpowers. Well, fuck. Kill me now. Imagine if Superman was a zombie that could, like, think. Like, what do you do?
Try to run. Try.
Try to get to a gun to kill yourself first.
Find Batman.
He's already a zombie.
He's a zombie too. He's gonna eat you first.
I'd rather deal with zombie Superman than zombie Batman.
Oh,
True.
Yeah.
That is true. I'm good, man.
Oh man.
Yep.
No, like zombie was really never my genre. Like even horror in general is not my genre. Like
Me
I
neither, but-
like some people love horror movies. Like maybe because now, especially now, like horror movies are PG-13, so it's like I know they're not gonna show anything gore wise, not titty wise. I mean, I used to watch the Jason movies because of random titties. Like,
Whoa, wait. Okay,
don't
hold
watch
on.
Jason 5 because there ain't no titties in that one.
Hold on. This coming from the man who says Logan is a bad movie because there's a
titties?
random set of breasts in the first 10 minutes.
No, oh my god. Like, no, man, Logan is a bad... Look,
No, it's not.
oh, Logan is a
You
bad movie.
can say it's a bad movie, and you can have a valid opinion about why it's a
As
bad
long as it's
movie.
not because of the
but
titties.
if your reasoning is there's a glimpse of 2 breasts in a scene in the
How you
first 10
mad
minutes.
about that? I'm happy. Thank God there's some titties in this movie.
Because the titties had nothing to do with pushing the plot along.
I'm going to pause you there and ask what part of the boobies in, or the fucking tits in Jason 1 through 4 progress the
And
plot.
6 through...
And 6 through 12.
Because they didn't show no titties in 5. Or they didn't show no titties in 4. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. And one of them, they don't show titties. But they always, like, those sex scenes, and then Jason would kill them. Like, as they're, like,
That's
instead,
actually
like,
some really freaky shit.
fucking around.
Okay, so this is a scene which is to show Logan at his lowest is having to drive around a bunch of drunk, entitled white assholes, one group of which is a bunch of, like...
That's true.
Yeah.
If you're around some drunk white women, you gonna see some titties.
So any Ubers drivers out there, please comment if somebody showed you random titties. The answer is going to be no, and then somebody's going to say, "I wish there was titties." How many people are going to sign up for Uber because of titties?
Okay.
Hey man, don't put it past some dudes, bro. Come on.
Having
Someone's gonna hear this. and be
Having
like,
driven
I'm
for
down.
Lyft, there have been titties.
Word
having,
up. See, hey,
having,
Exhibit
having,
A.
having closed down the theater and dealt with drunk bachelorette parties, 50% of the time there's breasts.
Dude,
And you're just
word
like, get
up.
out. Go home. Go to another bar. It's midnight. I want to start drinking. Like, because you don't care anymore. You just want them to leave.
There was no point in having titties in Logan. Okay,
I have been in Logan's position, and you just roll your eyes, and you keep your eyes on the road and go, okay, and hope they give you a good tip. Like,
You just haven't lived his life.
You know what's funny? I want to know how many people are going to go back and watch Logan and be like, "There's titties in that movie." Because
Also, when you did say that, I did not know there was titties.
well, first,
Everybody I
we
know.
had this conversation, I think with Dan.
Yeah,
It was
we're
when
getting
Jay
burgers.
and Silent Bob.
Drinking beer.
Dan pulled up the movie, and we watched the first 7 minutes, because Dennis swore in the first 5 minutes there's titties.
It's true.
It was
That's
not
right.
in the first 7. It might have been in the first 12, but that scene, it was not in the first 7.5 minutes. And we said, you know what? We're in line. We're going to, like, have a conversation. We're not going to just keep sitting here watching a movie.
Watching
and
some
ignoring
Titties.
Yeah, like,
Everyone's like, what the hell are these guys doing?
well, guys, we have to prove to our friend here that there's not 2 seconds of boob in the first 7 minutes of this movie.
You know this is gonna be like, we ever make a movie, somebody's gonna sit down and watch Logan, like everyone's just gonna stop. Oh, you guys are watching Logan, and then just a big form, everybody just
With the
watching.
titties?
And,
No!
and then the titties just come out of nowhere, and then somebody's like, "Ooh, titties."
That is
But it's
gold.
just gonna be because everybody loves Logan that they're just gonna stop
No, here's what it's going to be. It's going to be, we're having this discussion, and then we go, I'll prove it to you. And we're all sitting around watching Logan, the first, 10 minutes of it, and we're talking, and at the point where you think titties are supposed to be in the Logan movie, is there's breasts that walk by in the background of the movie that you're watching that's about us. That's how comedy works. You subvert the expectation. You think you're going to see titties on the screen, but there's titties on the screen behind you.
Word up. That's funny, man. Holy shit. That's good shit. That is funny.
Well, I know who I'm bringing with me to my writer's room when I decide to write.
I'll punch it up for you.
A movie about my life. But that's pretty much it. That's all I really got about on Wanda Vision.
We talked about WandaVision for about 12 minutes, and then another 45 minutes of bullshit, which is fine. But I like how you wrap that up with it. That's our talk on WandaVision.
Word up, son.
Yeah.
Comics Corner with Dennis.
Comics Corner, Titties Corner, because titties do not need to be in Logan. Hashtag.
Hashtag I like seeing titties. So if you got them, show them. I don't know.
I will say this. You are not wrong. They did not need to be in there, but I don't think they were gratuitous. It didn't linger on them, and it wasn't salacious. It was just like, oh, this woman's being a jerk and, taunting him, and then it's done. It's not like they were, lingering on them.
I just remember halfway through the movie, I'm like, I can't believe they showed titties in this movie.
All right.
You can believe a little girl is just slaying bodies, but you see some titties in it, that's where you draw the line? You draw the line of titties?
You know what? I hope they remake that movie, but they make it, instead of, a bachelorette party, they just change that scene to it's dude's night out, and it's just a dong. A big dick right there. So Dennis goes, I can't believe they put a dick in that movie. You ruined the whole movie for me.
Actually, now you're speaking on that. They definitely show more dicks than anything in movies. It's specifically comedies. And there's always a dick, but you never see anything else. It's always just some dude's cock. Fuck that. I'm good. I'm pretty sure Hangover has a fucking dick in it, doesn't it?
I mean, the Asian guy.
Yeah, there you go. That's just Exhibit A of how many dicks are in movies.
But that don't mean. But that had to do with the plot. It wasn't just a random dick.
Why? What did it have to do with the plot?
Dude was naked in his back seat because they
why
were
was he naked in the back
trunk.
seat?
Why'd I have to see it?
Why did he have to be naked?
Yeah, I mean,
you know
really
what? You know.
could've seen it.
Wait. You know what they could have had? He could have been wearing an adult diaper. That would have been just as funny, and it could have been. They could have made a joke how it's he's wearing a soiled, dirty adult diaper, and you wouldn't see a dick, but then it's a poop joke too. True. Just as funny. A different type of joke. It's still funny within context, but saying, "Oh man, there was nudity. A movie's ruined." But it wasn't gratuitous.
It's different when it's a comic book movie. Just okay. So another thing.
It wasn't a comic book movie though.
Logan's a comic book movie.
Why is it a comic book movie?
What is it, just a movie about a character who happened to be in the comics?
Do you how are you? I guess here's my question: how are you defining a comic book movie?
I mean, it's fine because that they're getting the medium from a comic book. Technically,
they're getting the medium.
I thought this was supposed to be their Old Man Logan.
No, not at all. It has nothing to do with Old
Man
Logan. It's not called Old Man Logan.
When I watched it, I was like, "This is not Old Man Logan."
It has nothing to do with Old Man Logan, other than it is an older Logan traveling across country.
I'll give it a watch. I'll give it another go.
I will say, if it's any genre, it's like a Western. Where you have the retired gunslinger who doesn't want to have to, prove himself by fighting all the time. They even call it out in the hotel with Patrick Stewart and what's her name, who's playing X-23. They're watching an old Western.
I'll give it another go.
They dress in cowboy clothes. It is a modern take on an adaptation of a Western.
I'll give it another go. If you guys like Logan, leave a comment down below. But we're going to go ahead and wrap up this part 1.
All right.
And then we'll be back for part 2 talking about some news. All right, guys. Peace.
Later.
Peace.